We'll give everybody just a second to stretch their legs on Come On In to MHI, where we're rocking every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Mountain. Tom, we were just complaining about this, and because I enjoy complaining so much, I figured I'd bring the audience in as our stream gets up and running. Daylight savings, yay or nay? I mean, do we just get rid of this whole thing, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I know. Like I said, it's affected me worse this year than I can remember. I don't know why, but I had been doing. I've been getting up really early. I've been trying to go to bed early and get up early so I could write and I can work on the business before I go to work. Right, so I've been getting up really early and man, I tell you, it's really thrown me for a loop. I still can't. I'm still getting up way too late.
Well, I got something that'll get you out of bed tomorrow morning and maybe the next day and even more the next day. How about a new tight end for your Denver Broncos? Huh, Broncos country? We're coming off this fresh news here on MHI every 6 p.m. Mountain Wednesday. We rock with you. He is Thomas Hall. I am Luke Patterson. Reach out to us on X at Thomas Hall NFL. Yours truly at Luke Patterson LP. Yeah, Tom, I don't know if you saw this. You'd have to be living under a rock if you didn't. Pretty big doings here in Broncos country. The Denver Broncos are the proud new owners of a former Pro Bowl tight end and 2017 first-round pick, Evan Engram, has decided to sign with the Denver Broncos. This is a 2-year, $23 million deal with $16.5 million in guaranteed money that happened at the time of signing. You can read all about this new deal, hot new deal. The Joker, he's in town. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Zach Kelberman has an article up running right now. Tom, what was your reaction when you found out Evan Engram is back with the Broncos? And I say back because he spent Sunday night here, he spent Monday here, and then he flew to the Chargers. Sean Payton must have said or did something to get Evan Engram to sign on the dotted line.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. I mean, anything pretty much is an upgrade to their tight end room from last year. So he's obviously has elite receiving skills. He had a heck of a 2023, right? So, I think 114 catches, over 1,000 yards, I believe. Maybe it wasn't quite that much, but he's got the receiving skills that Sean Payton's looking for. So it makes me happy that they're not like desperate to get a tight end now, which is good. I do have a couple reservations about it. We can chat about as we go along, but right now it's good news. It's really good news. It wasn't, and they didn't really overpay, really. I mean, either.
Reservations, me, critiques, this show, Mile High Insight? No way. No, you're exactly right, Tom. This is exciting. All right. This is an exciting move for Broncos country. This is an exciting move for the NFL, for Sean Payton and one Bo Nix. And here's why. The Broncos have been wandering many a desert. Well, we're starting to check off some of those. Head coach, check. Owners, check. Franchise quarterback, check. Offensive line, according to Denver, check. Wide receiver, I don't know. We might need some upgrades there. But tight end, the Broncos have not been able to find a true tight end, a wide position, if you will, and even a receiving threat. The likes of Julius Thomas, 2014, 2013 days. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, that's a decade of not having a tight end. So you've got a tight end. He's got the credentials. Former first rounder out of Ole Miss. Has a little bit of an injury history. It's his third time's the charm, right? Third team in 7 years. Started with the New York Giants. Who's throwing him the ball over there in New York? I never know these days. It seems like it's a million quarterbacks, speaking of carousels. Then he heads on over to the Jaguars. Things don't get all that much better. I don't know how long a leash Trevor Lawrence has on him, but when you have an owner like Shad Khan, you're only going to get so far. So I can't go after stats and be like, oh, we got to watch out for Evan Engram. It's a good day. Broncos country wanted this guy. I was poking fun at Broncos country a little bit yesterday. Like, well, look, just because he's in LA doesn't break my heart. Go look. We're confident with what we're selling here. I think it's Sean Payton's pitch more times than not, Tom. And I don't think the Walton Penner ownership group need to overextend themselves when they're trying to sign free agents. I will say this, and I wanted to ask Broncos country and you, Thomas Hall, here on MHI tonight. I wanted to ask, why is Evan Engram with the Denver Broncos? Why did he select Denver instead of the Los Angeles Chargers. It's been a little while since the Denver Broncos have been considered a destination franchise in the NFL, if you will, Tom. But correct me if I'm wrong, Evan Engram had to decide Harbaugh and Herbert or Peyton and Bo Nix.
Yeah, well, and that's just it. Like, what was the catalyst? Was it Bo Nix? Was it Sean Payton? Was it the money? It's hard to tell because you don't know what he was, what they talked about, what they were negotiating in LA. So maybe it is the money. Maybe it's a combination of everything, but it really doesn't matter because they got him at a pretty decent deal. I don't think it's they really overpaid too much for his services based on what the production we're probably going to see from him. And took care of a need. So I think it was a good deal. Why he's here? There's a multitude of reasons. Obviously, money. It's a great facility. It's a great place to live. You got a young, good quarterback who's probably a franchise caliber quarterback from what we're seeing. You got a good coach. You've got all the pieces together for a young team to kind of take that next step, and he's going to be a part of that next step.
I'm excited about it too. I wonder if he's the Joker that Sean Payton has been hunting for, that he continued to elude in any press conference or setting that you get coach in. He's always going to talk about the Joker. Maybe you can check that off the board with Evan Engram. I think one of the biggest things for me about this signing, the actual figures, Tom, I don't hate. I got to be honest. I was pretty down on Evan Engram, and I was poking fun at Broncos country, like using the old Michael Corleone, here is my offer. Nothing, and it's like, if you don't want to be here, then go kick the can down the road and tell me how the Spano family is going to do you out there in LA. I don't know, Tom, Denver or LA, where do you want to live? I think most people would choose Denver these days for a variety of reasons, right? But look at where the franchise is at. The AFC West in general, man. Talk about the state of the union of the AFC West. It's hot. It's red hot right now. You've got so many different changes in terms of player personnel. You've got those damn Raiders and Pete Carroll and Tom Brady out there, minor owner or whatever we got to say, trading for Geno Smith. How about that? We'll talk about some other notable additions with the Broncos. We'll go around the league. But Broncos country, you're going to have to let me know where you are at. What is your reaction to the Evan Engram signing? Evan Engram is officially a Denver Bronco. Now, Tom, as I mentioned, I'm going to continue to mention, Broncos country had to be patient on this one. And I'm scrolling through social media, and I thought this would happen a lot sooner than it did. Sunday night, he's out to dinner with all the execs, all the brass, some of the coaches. Mondays at the facility with Sean working out. And then all of a sudden we hear Tuesday he's in LA. Usually you don't let these guys leave without a deal. There have been so many different stories throughout NFL history where, guys like Emmanuel Sanders had to be pried away from the Kansas City Chiefs at one time by John Elway, right? Come sign with us and Peyton, we'll take good care of you. So super exciting time, a historic moment for your Denver Broncos. Why? Because you have a new first-round tight end, Evan Engram, in the house, former Pro Bowler. Hopefully he gets along well with Bo.
Yeah, and I think they improved the team considerably. And I don't want to be a naysayer, like I said, when it comes to Evan Engram. I just am going to temper my expectations for Evan Engram. He could blow them away, but, I did a lot of research on 31-year-old tight ends and what they've done in the past. And I expect to have a good season out of him. Probably not a great season, but a good season is good enough with Evan Engram. But I still think they improved the team with that signing. They improved the team with the other signings that they had. So right now, you're sitting in a pretty good spot when you're looking at the Broncos going into the draft. They didn't overpay. They filled the needs that they needed to fill with good players. These players that they got, I think, are really good players.
Yeah, and we could talk about that as the show goes on. We appreciate Casey Nickel weighing in with a very generous $4.99 over on YouTube. Guys, these super chats, Facebook stars, anything you can give, we truly appreciate it. We appreciate all the support. Bro, we've gotten so much better, and all we need is to recognize it. Give me Ashton Genty, and I am good. Casey, a little louder for the people in the back, because I am right there with you. And I love Broncos country. It's a fun relationship, right? Because I can poke fun of them, us. They poke fun of me. I poke fun of myself. And it was so funny, Tom, because I got a lot of reaction earlier this week when I was talking about, look, if Evan Engram is signed by the Denver Broncos, is it all but a certainty that Sean Payton's going running back in round one? I just have this feeling, man, that he's going to Ashton Genty, that he wants to trade up. I'm definitely right there with you, Casey. I'm in the trenches, but look, I think the Broncos got to go from 20 to potentially number 9 or just outside the top 10. That's going to be expensive, right? And don't forget, I'm just that problem child that wants to trade away everything, including getting a Jamar Chase here. So, Casey, we got to figure out what we're going to do with all this trade capital. Tom, what say you, man? How excited are you for a new tight end? Does it mean we're getting a rookie running back in round 1?
I hope so. I mean, I still think they need to address the wide receiver position. I know that Sean Payton's happy with it, and you know he's come out and said that they're happy with the wide receiver position, but that doesn't mean that they're right. They could be wrong, or they could be blowing smoke. I mean, I think they need to address that, but really the position right now that needs to be addressed the most, I think, especially with Javonte Williams leaving, is running back. Whether they have to do that in the first round or not is up in the air. Do you really want to trade a bunch to go up to get the running back that you want when it's a deep draft? From everything I'm hearing, that you could probably sit where you're at and get a very valuable running back. I think trying to get one in round 4 is probably not the greatest idea. I know people have this saying that you can find running backs anywhere in the draft. You can, but they forget about all the running backs that were drafted that were later in the draft that didn't amount to anything. It's not easy. So if you really want a running back, you should take one in the first 2 rounds and get a good one and not think anything of it.
The analytics do not lie. Sometimes statistics do. That's Tom Hall's motto, and we live by it here on MHI. Right, Tom? No, we are rocking with you guys every Wednesday night. He's Thomas Hall. I'm Luke Patterson. Here's the thing, man. Look at all those underdogs that we weren't looking out for last year. But what kind of underdogs am I talking about? How about a Zach Allen? How about a John Franklin Myers? How about a Devon Vele? How about a Marvin Mims? We didn't see any of these big time plays and big time moments coming from some of these underdogs. And guys, speaking of underdogs, it's hoop season. This basketball season, when your favorite star scores a bucket, we're going to give you an alley-oop opportunity to win money from watching sports with Underdog. Underdog's one of the leading sports apps, and you can play now in your state. Do you want to win up to 1,000 times your money? Well, you can with Underdog.
And to play, choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats, like points, assists, rebounds, and more. Underdog's got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. Create entries with all basketball picks or mix and match across other sports. You can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn $1 into $1,000 just with your hoops knowledge.
Boom, guys, download the Underdog app today. Sign up now using the promo code MHuddle to unlock a special offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your very first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code MHuddle. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon your very first deposit.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply, void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text next-step to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Boom, it's Wednesday night. It's MHI. He's Thomas Hall. I'm Luke Patterson. We are reacting to the groundbreaking news that the Broncos officially have a tight end. He's a former first rounder out of Ole Miss, number 23 overall pick back in 2017. Couple different stints on a couple bad teams with the Giants and the Jags. We're starting anew. He is former Pro Bowl tight end Evan Engram. He has selected the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton and Bo Nix over Harbaugh and Herbert. What is your reaction? Let us know in the chat. And speaking of the chat, I'm seeing some familiar names here in the chat. Some good friends and boss man himself, Chad Jensen, coming in with a very generous $20 over on YouTube. Luke and Tom, how would you grade the Broncos free agency moves thus far?
Yeah, well, I think they improved the team. I'm going to give them a B plus for I mean, I think I love Greenlaw. I think he's a dynamic player. He fills out something that the spot that the Broncos have been lacking for a long time. He's got coverage ability. He's an impact player. I love it. I like the safety that they picked up, playmaker, and I like Engram too. They needed a tight end. They've improved the team for sure. They've also, kept a few players that, it was okay to keep. My only thing is, and I know that people have been saying, well, Bo Lowry, he's going to take care of the injuries and stuff. And I think, I tweeted out when they got Bo Lowry that maybe the single best move they make. And when they did, but you also have to remember too, the team has gotten rid of injury prone players over the last couple of years, even ones that the fans like, Tim Patrick being one of them, people that were injured all the time. So now you're looking at 2024 and you didn't have a lot of injuries, and part of it's Bo Lowry, part of it's the training staff, and part of it is they've kind of cleansed those injured players. Now they went out and got 2 players who have had some injury history. So that's the only thing that drops it down a little bit for me is I'm worried about the injuries, and that's it. But otherwise, they improved the team with some dynamic players.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it because as Nick Kendall knows, when we started the show on Saturday night, I've never met a linebacker that I didn't like, Tom. And Dre Greenlaw for me was just, I was through the moon. I was gushing. Hell, I was giddy. I had goosebumps because I loved what this kid could do. Going back and looking at some of his film late last night, I know he's been plagued with some injuries, just like Hufanga. But to get 2 starting caliber players, 2 starters from the San Francisco 49ers to immediately plug and play in Vance Joseph's defense that was already top 10, top 5 for most of the year in so many categories. I love it. You've got a lot of similarities in both of these guys and the fact that they're both athletes at the defender position, if you will. I'm not going to call Hufanga a ball hawk, but I think Hufanga definitely has ball instincts. He is always around it, whether that's scoop and score, whether that's a peanut punch, if you will. The guy's an effort player, and I absolutely love it. What do you get with a Dre Greenlaw? You get a whole lot of attitude at the linebacker position that you haven't had before. What was it? Just 2 weeks ago, our guys, Zach, Chad, are down at the Combine. We're talking to Cecil Lammy, good friend of the show. Cecil comes on this show and tells us, Drew Sanders, be ready. That inside linebacker position, it's going to be good. So to hear that Justin Sternad got re-signed today, I know that was a little bit, or yesterday, rather. No, it was today, Wednesday. The Broncos re-signed Justin Sternad to a 1-year, $2.7 million fully guaranteed deal. You got to have some of these moves. You just can't go and spend a king's ransom at the linebacker position multiple years in a row, or even at the same time. You have to see what you have in Drew Sanders. He's still playing on that rookie contract. With Dre Greenlaw, you're getting a guy that's going to change the attitude. You had some nastiness on that defense last year, and a lot of the time, I think it came from the D-line and the pass rush. You had finesse in the secondary. You know where the attitude's coming from right now. It's coming from the same place it always needs to come from. It needs to come from the middle of the defensive field. So I'm going to give the Broncos a B+ right now. I'm pretty happy with what they're doing. I'm even happier with where they're at with their contract figures. So really good question, Chad. Appreciate the support. Guys, I encourage everybody. It's a busy free agency season, right? The offseason officially started today for NFL free agency. Players that were previously released obviously could sign deals before the day started. I would encourage everybody, head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Check out MHH's very own free agent tracker. It's being updated minute by minute as things are happening. We're keeping you updated with current Broncos, new Broncos, departing Broncos, and the rumor mill. Speaking of which, and I don't want to spend the entire show talking about this, Tom, but the punter. Holy cow, what is going on with the Broncos and the punter? Because I know Chad's working on something over at milehighhuddle.com. Riley Dixon officially departs Denver for a 3-year, $6 million deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Reports indicate that former Colorado State Ram and Titans punter Ryan Stonehouse, the Broncos do not plan on pursuing him or 2 other free agent punters whose names are atop the list, but they lost out on the Cowboys kicker, Anger, who apparently went back to Dallas today. Tom, what's going on with Broncos special teams punter?
Yeah, I mean, unrestricted free agent that they didn't want back. I mean, obviously he's a good punter, not a great punter. They think they can improve that room, and they didn't want to spend the money on Punter that they weren't completely happy with. So I think maybe they'll draft one. Maybe they'll find a free agent. I'm not sure. Hopefully they get one that can punt the ball well, and there's not any setbacks there. But I'm not as worried about the punter as it seems like everyone else is right now. They'll figure it out, and they'll get somebody to come in here and punt the ball.
You know what I think is going to happen, because Sean is Sean, and I have a good idea of what Sean's silly little games are. I think Sean's probably looking at like a left-footed kicker that none of us are even thinking about. Why? Because he always brings one in every training camp, and he loves to talk about it because he tries to prepare his players. It's a different spin on the ball and all these things that we got to say to, jazz up the punter position. I don't know. It's odd. Special teams has been something that Denver has improved at the last few years, so it's definitely something to watch for. But man, if you're telling me that the Broncos have a new starting linebacker, a new starting safety, a new starting tight end, and all they lost thus far really was their starting punter, all right, sign me up for that. Like Ralph Brazegirdle, our guy, always supporting us, Major Stars 100 over on Facebook. Appreciate you so much, Ralph. What's up, boys? Tom, you were absolutely killing it with the top 100 Broncos list. With our free agents, how do you guys think we fare against other AFC West teams this coming year?
Well, thank you, Ralph. I appreciate that. I'm enjoying doing it. So I'm trying to get one out every day. So hopefully it won't drag off into training camp. But thanks.
What? Trying to get one out every day? Clean this up for radio. No, guys, head on over to @Thomas Hall NFL. It's a really cool thing. Broncos countries, Tom is doing your own top 100 countdown, and it's all Denver Broncos. We don't need to list any Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, Cowboys, none of that stuff. Head on over to @Thomas Hall NFL. Check out what Ralph is throwing down.
Yes. Thank you for that, Luke. For me, I think that the Broncos have improved where they need to improve, like I said, and I think they're going to fare just fine against the other AFC West teams. I'm not worried about the Raiders. I know that they've, got a new coach. They traded for a Geno Smith, who I don't find to be too impressive. I just don't think he's got anybody really to work with as skill players positions. Got a decent defense. I mean, Kansas City's going to be formidable like they always are. And the real issue is, can they steal one from the Chargers? That they didn't do that last year. They ended up 3-3 in the AFC West. That's not good enough. They've got to go 4-2. So they've got to figure out how to split with the Chiefs and split with the Chargers and sweep the Raiders if they can. And then now we're talking division title competition.
Tom, something tells me, because you're such a good historian, because details do not escape you, that you're probably pretty decent at trivia. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at trivia.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hit you with one. I'm gonna hit you Broncos country with one, because Ralph, you and Tom got my brain working now. We're talking about the Broncos draft implications based off of today. What am I talking about? Evan Engram is your new tight end, Broncos country, former first rounder, Pro Bowler, coming over from Jacksonville, had a nasty stint with the Giants. Does that mean the Broncos are out at the first round tight end? Are they eyeing a running back? Are they going best player available? Are they going to continue to stack the defense after getting 2 new defensive starters? Tom, I want a running back. I like Ashton Genty. Who was the last running back Sean Payton selected in round 1 of the NFL draft?
Reggie Bush, maybe.
Boom. 2006, second overall USC, Reggie Bush. It's been a while, right? It's been 25 some years for Sean, or 20 years, whatever that's got to be. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm not saying let's look at just the draft history and try to figure out, well, it's been so long and it has to mean that Sean's going round 1 running back. It sure makes it interesting, because I don't know why the Broncos would trade up or even stay at 20 to draft a position that they just invested in, even though they got a team-friendly deal. Does the deal for Evan Engram suggest that tight end is still in the running in the first round?
Yeah, I think they're all in the running. I think what the Broncos did right now is they made it so they didn't have to choose a certain position, right? I mean, Running back does seem like they need to choose that in the first round, but I think they've improved the team across the really most of the needs, so they can go any way they want in round 1. I think they could even go tight end. If a tight end drops to that 20th spot and they love him, why not? Ingram's not going to be around for more than 2 years. You might as well bring in his replacement, because none of the guys on the team right now are that, in my opinion.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd be a little disappointed if they land Evan Engram and then they go tight end free agency, tight end to start the draft. I think that would be a little irresponsible. I'm not saying it would be the wrong move. I'm not saying I would be upset, but I would be curious about that. I think you have to act on some good faith a little bit, right? I mean, I didn't see Bo Nix having the season that he did, and I just got to go back to that. I got to go back to Sean and George and the vision that they have for this team, and only they in that building know what that vision is. James Moss coming in over on YouTube, a very generous $5. Thank you, James. With the cap going up next year, do you think the Broncos trade back and stockpile some draft picks and go all in next year? No, because Sean Payton is all in now, James. It's not what you would do. It's not what I would do per se. It's what would Sean do. Sean, it's the buck starts and stops with Sean Payton over there. Sean Payton was all in last year when he got a rookie quarterback, named him the captain, and named him the starter pretty much when he got to training camp, when Bo earned that. So the expectation has changed. We talk about that all the time on this show every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Mountain. Getting to the playoffs, James, that's not good enough anymore. You've got to win a playoff game this season. That is the goal. I don't want to hear Super Bowl or bust. I don't want to hear they're going to reload for next year. Sean's aggressive. He's bold. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that's a bad thing. I do think he's going to trade back in the NFL draft in later rounds. I don't see him doing it in round 1. Tom wrote a piece years ago. Not a lot of trading back when it comes to Sean Payton in round 1. And when you look at Sean Payton's first round draft history, it's tough to get a good beat on this guy. I mean, we're talking 2006. He goes with Reggie Bush, then a wideout, then defense, then DB, then D. I mean, so it's totally different depending on need, but I would bet dollars to donuts Sean Payton trades up in round 1 to go get his guy, whoever that guy is. It's who Sean is.
Yeah. And this is why I think the same thing. I don't think they're trading back and getting ready for next year. They were on the cusp this year. They know they need to add a few key pieces this year. And I think Sean Payton thinks he can do that and make even more of a push into the playoffs this year. But also remember, you keep kicking the can down the road. That's one less year you have your quarterback on a rookie contract. The time is now to load up these next couple of years and go for it. And I think that's what they're doing this year. They're being calculated. They don't have all the money in the world to spend. They're being very calculated with the salary cap, but they're making the right moves in the right places. And I think they're going to go for broke in the first round of the draft. They're going to identify who they think is going to put this offense over the top, and they're going to try and go get him. Now, maybe they're not going to be able to trade up to number 9, like you said, Luke, earlier, but somebody's there that they're going to want. I think they're going to go after it. I don't think they're going to trade back because Sean Payton he's not one that trades back. So I think they feel they're on the cusp now, and they're not going to wait till next year.
Boom, Broncos country. We are reacting to the news of the day, blockbuster news of the day, if you will. There's a new tight end in town. His name is Evan Engram. The Broncos officially signed a 2-year deal, $23 million, $16.5 million guaranteed at the time of signing. And wanted to give BK a shout out. Broncos country's always looking out for each other. BK making sure we're not missing any questions or comments. Shiloh, please let us know your question, your comment, or concern. We appreciate your donation. You do not need to donate again. I must have missed that. My apologies, and we will fire you up next on the super chats and the superstar line. We really appreciate everybody. If you've got the resources to give, we appreciate it. But remember, time is the most valuable thing that we have on this earth. And we're rocking with over 400 people right now on MHI reacting to Evan Engram. And we appreciate every one of you guys. Let us know. What do you think of the Evan Engram signing? Did it surprise you? Are you a fan of the move? Are you not a fan of the move? I thought the deal would need to be way richer than it actually was. And 2 years, $23 million. Okay, I'm happy with the move. Now, I do have some concerns, and Tom, you alluded to some health concerns with Evan Engram last year. He did miss 8 games with a hamstring and a shoulder. You could read all about Evan Engram over at milehighhuddle.com. Zach's got an article up right now. But look, I have some concerns with performance as well. 39 drops in 7 years. That's about 7 drops per season. It's unacceptable in Sean Payton's offense, and it's unacceptable in Denver, Colorado. I need those drops to be cleaned up. Look, touchdowns is also something that I'm not going to knock the guy for, because you have to consider who he's been playing with in New York, in Jacksonville, right? 6 touchdowns is his best season yet as a rookie back in 2017. The guy hasn't scored more than 4 touchdowns the past 5-6 seasons since. So it's a little bit of a concern for me. The production, for the most part, he's available and he's around. I'm not going to knock him, but yeah, there's going to be pros, there's going to be cons. I'm just excited that the Broncos got a big name tight end, that the expectations with a big name tight end not only come with Sean Payton or from Sean Payton. Bo Nix has to be a pretty happy guy sitting down on Castle Pines just down the road from me right now. And there's our guy, Shiloh. Appreciate you so much for weighing in, and we appreciate all of your generosity and support on the show. Thanks, BK. Huge shout out to BK. With the Engram signing, I'm looking forward to getting a young guy in the building. Loveland, Helm, Ferguson, or Taylor. What say you, Tom? Can Engram be the veteran mentor to a young guy, a rookie, or a one-year player?
I hope so. And I hope they don't go. I mean, from my perspective, I hope they don't go a first round tight end. I hope they wait, get one in the third, like Ferguson, something like that, so he can develop behind Engram. Really, there's no sense in grabbing a first round tight end. They might, if they love him, it might be one of the best tight ends and they love it. So, but I think Engram could play that role. You also have to understand that at 31 years, he's going to be 31 years old. Don't expect a huge performance from Engram. You're going to have somebody else step up. So if that's a rookie who can come in and catch, 20, 25 balls to kind of make up a little bit of that difference, then they should definitely explore that, because what they had last year wasn't cutting it. None of these tight ends had any sort of real production. So getting a young tight end that can grow with Bo Nix is a great idea.
I love the German Shepherd too, by the way, Shiloh. I grew up with German Shepherds. I've got a Wolf Husky and an Anatolian Shepherd, man. So you made me think of something, Shiloh. Dre Greenlaw is the Broncos' new German Shepherd. Why? Because he is guarding that line of scrimmage and defensive backfield, dude. He brings the attitude. He brings the loyalty. He brings the intelligence. I absolutely love it, man. I'm so excited. It must be the first day of official free agency here on Wednesday, March 12th, as we're reacting to a whole lot of news, Broncos country. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about your new first-round tight end? Do we want to talk about how Evan Engram handpicked Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and your Denver Broncos over the Chargers? That's right. Justin Herbert, Harbaugh. What were we told all year last year, Tom? Watch out for Herbert and Harbaugh. They're going to be unstoppable. Yeah, they had the Broncos number. I give them that. But last I checked, the Chargers didn't look too unstoppable. Last I checked, not too many free agents were turning down other team offers to come to Denver, Colorado. Something's changing with this Broncos country, with this Broncos franchise. Maybe perhaps it's already changed. Man, I am here for all of it, and we've got the chat rocking and rolling.
It has changed, Luke. I mean, just look at the difference between what the media was saying last year to what they're saying now. Last year, it was all down on Denver. They got a terrible roster. They're not going to go anywhere. They're going to be 4-13 or whatever people were projecting. And now they're saying,
you guys, you and Scott. I was 9-7.
I said 7 wins. I said 7 wins.
No.
But now that the tune has changed, people seem to be talking about this Denver Broncos team. People understand that it's a great place to play. The culture has changed, and the roster is better. So that in and of itself is helping, along with that deep pocket money, that Walmart money that everybody talks about, is, to pay these folks. But nobody had to be overpaid to come here. So it's not just about the money. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what they were talking about in LA, but obviously they were probably giving a similar number, and he chose Denver.
Evan Engram didn't want to deal with all the homeless people in LA. He didn't want to have to worry about what he was stepping in at the practice field. He didn't want to worry about Jim Harbaugh spending the night at his house. He didn't want to worry about what haircut Justin Herbert was going to get. He wanted to worry about winning football games with Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Now, are you ready to answer the call, Evan Engram? Because there are going to be some big expectations at this position, the tight end position, Tom. And you know more than anybody what tight end and the position has historically meant to the Denver Broncos. Evan Engram, you've got a lot of work to do. We're happy to have you. Phil McLaughlin, always happy to have our guy, Phil, every Wednesday night on MHI. Good evening, Luke, Tom, and Deegan Scott. So far, got to give our free agent picks a B+. Now, a punter would be nice and get Zach Allen taken care of. Hashtag Broncos for life and buck 'em. Oh, Tom, Phil, why'd you got to do this to me? I was in such a good mood with the Evan Engram signing. Now Phil's got to go give me anxiety. We talked about it last week. Zach Allen, big dog's got to eat. Well, he wants a new deal. Eric Trickle's writing articles over at milehighhuddle.com. Jonathan Franklin Myers wants a new deal. Yeah. I know your guy, Nick Bonito, is going to want a new deal. Tom, how did the Broncos figure out a way to not only keep bringing free agent defenders over, but keeping the guys that they have? Can you pay them all? John Franklin Myers, Zach Allen, and Nick Bonito.
Well, you probably can, but you got to do it in order. It's got to be Zach Allen, Nick Bonito, and then Jonathan Franklin Myers. And if you can't afford to pay him, then he's the odd man out. And I'm sorry, I love Jonathan Franklin Myers, but that's the order in which you have to take them. I think they can figure out a deal. I think they want to. I think that they will. But if you really want to help take care of Zach Allen, the one thing that I didn't like so far about this free agency period, I know they brought DJ Jones back. I wanted them to improve their defensive line, not stand pat. So I was hoping that they could bring somebody in with a little bit more juice than DJ Jones. Not that he performed well. I was hoping they would improve it. So if you want to help Zach Allen out, get him somebody else that can rush the passer from the interior. I don't think DJ Jones is that guy.
No, but you got to have a DJ Jones because you can't have all Zach Allen. So you're exactly right. While you want to you're exactly right. You want to upgrade at certain areas, but you can't upgrade them at them all at the same time. So, Tom, to that point, maybe the Broncos need to look young in the draft, and you need to go get a rookie defender and start developing him. To your point, for the next time DJ Jones, this contract thing comes up, all right, we've got our next guy in waiting. Remember when that was supposed to be Matt Henningsen and everything? It just really it hasn't worked out. I know you're still curious about Owusu-Rike. How about this? I could remember, I don't know if it was on this show with you, if it was with Nick. I don't know who I was talking to, but when Draymond Jones had to walk, I was disappointed that we let Draymond Jones walk, and then Zach Allen's coming in. I'm thinking this isn't going to be as effective. Well, now the roles have reversed, right? And you look at all of the dominance, the Zach Allen and the hell that he raised all season. Draymond Jones looking for a new job, I think. Seattle cut the big guy, so I don't know, man. Maybe a tip of the cap to George Payton there. I know we give George a lot of hell on this show and social media for sure. It comes with the territory, but really interesting to see, man, some of these moves and where they're at 2-3 years later down the road. And before we go much further, and I really appreciate you, Phil, former Broncos, let's react to some of these news. And again, guys, head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Chad's got an awesome free agent tracker up right now. We're tracking all of the Broncos' current players that they've extended. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham. That was Monday. Tuesday, long snapper Mitchell Fabroni. Tuesday, Tom's guy, DJ Jones. Wednesday, they re-signed today offensive tackle Matt Pert. And they also re-signed Justin Sternad, linebacker, to a new deal. News of the day, obviously, Evan Engram saying hell no to the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going back to Denver, not going back to Cali, going back to Denver, and picking Sean Payton and Bo Nix. You can read all about these free agency moves over at milehighhuddle.com. Chad's got a really awesome tracker rocking and rolling. Javonte Williams, say goodbye to Pookie, Tom. He's officially a Dallas Cowboy on a 1-year, $3 million deal. Our guy Zach Wilson went to the Miami Dolphins, a 1-year deal up to $10 million. Cody Barton with the Tennessee Titans back up the Brinks truck. 3 years, 21 mil for Cody Barton. Go get that bag, Cody. Tremon Smith, cornerback, special teams ace, goes to the Texans, 2 years, 7.5 mil. It's also worth noting that the Broncos signed Tremon Smith's replacement for all intents and purposes, right? And Trent Sherfield, I believe, from the Minnesota Vikings. And then punter Riley Dixon officially signed a deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3 years, 6 mil. Anybody can punt. I'm hearing that the Broncos need a punter. Maybe they're holding tryouts because they don't seem very interested in anybody except the one guy, Brian Anger, who the Cowboys got back today. Tom, out of those 5 names that I read you, Javonte Williams, Zach Wilson, Cody Barton, Tremon Smith, and Riley Dixon, which player will you miss the most next season in 2025? No, I'm not.
I won't miss any of them. Look, here's the thing. I told you this several weeks back when we were talking about unrestricted free agents. I said I don't care if any of them. It won't bother me if any of them leave. But if I had to pick one, it's Riley Dixon because they have no plan right now in order to replace him. Obviously, they will have a plan and they'll find somebody. But Riley Dixon was an adequate punter. The other guys, they can be replaced. I mean, Javonte Williams to me needed to go find something else because he just wasn't cutting it. I never really kind of got over Smith running into interfering on that fair catch and getting the Chargers that gifting them 3 points, even if it was barely a tap. Anyway, there's a lot of things that I don't care about that these, they're leaving perfectly fine. I enjoyed the signings that they made. I thought Stidham was a good one to bring back, good backup quarterback. DJ Jones, it's a solid, especially after seeing the amount of money defensive linemen were getting in free agency. That was a pretty decent deal to get DJ Jones back. So yeah, so far I've been pleased with the ones they've let walk and the ones they've kept.
Yeah, I've been pretty happy about it too. It's it feels responsible over there. It feels like there's adults running the Broncos franchise the last couple of years. That's different. And really happy. Tom, I was talking about, is a change happening? Because I'm still kind of stuck in this. I can't believe it. The Broncos have an owner, or ownership. The Broncos have a quarterback. It's almost too good to be true, a head coach. And you're right. It's already changed. Things have already changed. Expectations have changed. The Broncos tight end room has changed, as John Juno has been very patient as we flap our gums on this very busy first Wednesday of NFL free agency. A generous $4.99 from John. Love the show. Great energy, guys. I am rooting for Genty at 20, but even if they go Hampton, Henderson, or Judkins, I would still be happy. What are your thoughts? Me too, man. This is where depth, this is where bones are made, really, when you talk about Sean Payton and George Payton and their NFL careers. And Tom, as you know, NFL coaches, the successful ones, the championship ones, the ones that are always in the postseason or near that postseason, they have extremely competent, talented, and hardworking scouting departments. And we talk about the collegiate scouting department all the time for the Broncos. John's alluding to it here. Broncos have been able to find some really good players, some starters like a Jonathan Cooper, right at the end of the draft, not a premier pick, if you will. They've been able to convert some players from edge to inside linebacker. It's not always our favorite move, but that's a credit to the scouting department to say, hey, this guy's a versatile player. I'm going to give you my assessment. You do what you will. The Broncos, I don't think, get enough credit for the pro scouting department. And it's something I try to bring up a lot on this show. That's who's helping you get these guys, John, as you well know. That's how you get the Dre Greenlaws, the Hofungas in the world. That's how you get Trent Sherfield. And I got to be honest, Tom, I'm not super knowledgeable when it comes to Trent Sherfield. Obviously, George Payton's still poking around his old stomping grounds in Minnesota, trying to find which guys he can bring over and reclaim as Broncos. But these depth players that John's talking about, you're exactly right. If Genty's gone, I know that Sean Payton and George Payton have a plan B, C, D, E. Yep. And as much as I don't want to throw mud at the number 7, the Duke, Elmwood John Elway himself, we're going plan A all the time. Didn't always work for John, the GM.
Yeah. Well, here's something that I hope will help Broncos country feel better about this upcoming draft. I was answering a question on Twitter, and so I went to all my draft analytics and I looked it up, and they were talking about the Surtain draft, I believe it was, and that draft there was 20% of the drafted players that became impact players, and more than 30% became primary starters. So I went back and I looked in the last 15 years of the data that I had. That rarely happens, but there was one team that did it 3 times. The only team that did it really multiple times. Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints did that 3 separate times. So that's the type of drafting you're getting from Sean Payton and how he runs the draft. And that's why he was competitive pretty much every year in New Orleans. It helped to have a Hall of Fame quarterback as well, but you can't just have the quarterback. You've got to keep that stable of impact players coming. So I'm looking forward to this draft. I think that they've nailed it the last couple times, and this is going to be one, and it has to be that round 1. You've got to get that impact guy. Man, it would be great if it was Genty or somebody else, but somebody that's going to make a difference for this team and get them over the hump. And I think that Sean Payton has the track record of doing it.
I do too. I just wonder how Sean in the game, man, Tom, you got me excited talking about the success of the Saints and that coaching staff, the training staff, what those depth pieces mean. Man, I'll be real curious when we're a few more years down the road and we can evaluate the Sean Payton Broncos draft class and what kind of impactful players or starters, or even hell, I know you break it down by snap count and where they're at. That will be really exciting. And guys, if you ever want to check out Tom's analytics, head on over to Tom's social media at Thomas Hall NFL. If you ever want to talk a bunch of bull jive with yours truly, that's at Luke Patterson LP. We appreciate everybody, guys. Follow the show over on X. That's at MHI_pod. We got beef those numbers up. Those are some rookie numbers. We've been on this show on the beat for years. Originally started Saturday night. Here we are in prime time, baby. We made it, and we are grateful for Broncos country. You are the reason for this success. Another friend of the show, circling back around. What is up, Ralph, man? Appreciate you so much, dude. We don't need to worry about first-round tight end. Noah Fant. Let's get our running back or trade back. If Genty isn't there, let's gather picks. Ralph, you know I like to give my old partner Nick a bunch of hell, and I used to say Noah Fant was the only tight end that came out of Iowa that couldn't play in the league. It seems like Iowa's tight end for most parts, man, and it's just I'm burned by Noah Fant. I did think about Noah Fant today. I was thinking about Broncos tight ends in general. The Jake Butts of the world, the Jeff Hiremans of the world, right? What does the future hold with Michael Burton, former fullback, right? Like, you're getting a significant upgrade in Evan Engram. I don't know if he's going to be everything and a bag of chips, that joker position that Sean just loves to spew to us, but that's the expectation from the building. We're waiting to see. You are getting a guy and a player with 7 years under his belt, and he's on his 3rd team. But were there ever a lot of expectations out there in New York with the Giants? Were there ever a lot of expectations out there with the Jaguars? And before Jaguars and Giants fan come at us, well, what about the Broncos? One good season and you think there are expectations? Yes, I know that there are expectations. You know how? I'm a Colorado native. I've been around this team for years. Tom, you know the history of this team. And Sean Payton, love him or hate him, you know where he stands on things. The man isn't here to take part. He's here to take over. Getting your asses whipped by the Buffalo Bills in round 1 of the wild card is not exactly success for Sean Payton. Right. It's not success for the Walton Penner ownership group. So I'm right there with you, Ralph. All aboard Ashton Genty's bus.
Yeah, and it's, you look at the numbers, you find you're more likely or as likely to find an impact or starting tight end in round 3 as you are in round 1. So now obviously there's a Hall of Famer that came out of round 1 and Tony Gonzalez. So it it does happen, but I would take my chances elsewhere and try and grab a tight end later, just to your point. Not because Noah Fant was a bust. It's just you can find tight ends later at the same clip as you can in the first round. So that's where I'm going. I think you need to go running back or wide receiver. Get somebody that is an elite playmaker, because that's what this team needs. You've got your franchise quarterback. Surround him with elite playmakers. You've got to get one out of this draft. You have to.
That's what our good friend David Youngkin's saying, weighing in with a very generous $4.99. Guys, you guys have been super active and generous in the super chat tonight. We really appreciate all you guys. Almost 500 eyes on us right now. Smash that like, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and be sure to follow the mothership at Mile High Huddle. Yours truly at Luke Patterson LP. Reach out to Tom at Thomas Hall NFL. Dave, with Bo Nix being on a rookie contract, the Broncos have a great chance to build a monster team before you have to pay Bo. Yeah. David, that's just it, man. People don't understand. I think sometimes fans miss this point a lot because we love to be fanatical about the players that we love. We want to ignore some of the boring stuff when it comes to contracts, money in the market. But when you look at the value, Tom, and you talk about it all the time, I preach about it all the time, the value of a first-round rookie contract, let alone the value of a first-round rookie quarterback, truly allows you, if you found the guy and you can sustain that success, and I hate to say it, but we're just assuming Bo's going to roll over that same success into his sophomore year of the NFL. Will there be a little bit of a sophomore slump like we saw with CJ Stroud? I don't know, but the expectations are such, the rookie contract are as such. I'm with Dave, man. The opportunity is now. This isn't building for later. This is building for now with Bo and Sean.
And that's why part of the reason why I said you don't want to trade back and stockpile picks and try and go for it in 2026. You want to go for it now because the time is now. You want to get those young players. You want to get them experience this year, make some noise this year. And then 2026, they have more experience. They're ready to even try and go farther into deeper into the playoffs, and you'll have more money to spend on those free agents that will help fill out that roster. That's why I don't want to wait. I don't want to trade. I don't think they should, look towards next year. They should be prudent, not do the Mike Ditka approach and trade everything for one player, but definitely go for that impact player. And if you have to trade up a little bit, fine, go do it. Don't trade up too far. Don't send too many picks so it's not a good value. But if you got to go up a little bit to get that player you want, then I think they should do it. I know it's a deep draft. It's certain positions. People keep talking about it. But if you find a guy that you really, really like and you think they're going to be a game changer for this offense, you go get him, and you don't worry about it after that.
Exactly. You don't look back. You can't have buyer's remorse. Not in this business, Tom. Yeah. I mean, and if you do, what kind of deals are we looking at? Well, we're looking at Melvin Gordon. All right. You're looking at overspending and you're looking at not getting a lot. Instagram's Nick for 3, sign Cup, trade up for Genty. I love it. Absolutely love it. BK, I see you in the chat. Thank you so much for all your support. Really appreciate the super. We're on our last leg of the show. Let me know who you like in the second round, because for me, that's where you go and you get your tight end. I liked the kid out of Miami. Was it Elijah Arroyo? I think that's like a developmental tight end you can get. He's a monster, Tom. He's 6'5", 250. So don't tell me you can't use him on special teams. Don't tell me that Sean's not going to teach him to block any better than he already can down at the U. I don't know. Maybe you get a tight end there. Maybe you can get some more defensive line depth. Cecil was really high on a lot of the D line and the prospects coming out of the prospect. I know Chad and Zach were as well. So really, really appreciate that. And we appreciate Nick, Eric, and Scott for the last 2 round live mock drafts that they did. Really, really appreciate that. It's cool to see the mock draft community, right? It's not for everybody, but for those who do rock and roll with it, we have got you covered here at Mile High Huddle. And we're in our last segment. This is usually where we like to keep it loose and loosen it up a little. And there's a lot of news. I'm going to answer a question that I asked you. Out of the 5 Broncos that have departed Denver, which one will I miss the most? Javonte Williams, Zach Wilson, Cody Barton, Traymon Smith, or Riley Dixon? I wish Zach Wilson could stay, and I can't believe I'm saying that, Tom. It's not that I'm going to miss Zach Wilson. It's that I would rather have him around instead of Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett has always been Sean's guy. We knew that the first year that he was coming into Denver to back up Russell Wilson. Jarrett Stidham was the highest paid backup quarterback then, and we thought that was a lot of money then, and it looks like peanuts now, right, with the quarterback market continuing to change now. Sean Payton, mission successful for Sean Payton and Zach Wilson. And Sean said it last training camp. His goal was to get Zach paid, whether that be here or somewhere else. And translation, get another opportunity. Translation, get a job. And Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, I think Bo Nix too. Jarrett Stidham's a part of that. Obviously helped Zach Wilson get to the Miami Dolphins 1 year up to $10 million. Let's talk about the quarterback carousel real quick on the way out. And we got to get to our guy, Cody. My bad, Cody. Talking all that bad job, and I missed Cody Dubbed, one of our good friends of the show, a generous $5 super. The 2023 season for Evan Engram, he had the second most catches for a tight end in NFL history, damn near 1,000 yards. If he could do half that, it's better than what the Broncos did this season. Yeah, that's just it, right? The expectations for him to come in and rock and roll, well, they're there. The bar's pretty low here in Denver with where the tight end room is. So the first thing for Evan, you better stay healthy. I know Sean's telling him that. I don't want to see any jet skiing videos in Mexico. I don't want to see you getting used to our spring snowstorms here in the Rocky Mountain Mile High City and snowboarding and skiing. I don't want to see any of that. I want to see you in the weight room. I want to see you taking care of your body. I want to see you resting. Rest is a big thing with Sean Payton. He's always talking about that. And I think I've heard some rumors, it's going to shock everybody, that Sean has had to shoo Bo away. He's had to lock Bo out of the building at times to say, dude, you need to go rest, go spend some time with your wife and your family. But, man, it's just a different world where we're at. And we're talking about these quarterbacks. I don't think you and I are particularly intimidated about Geno Smith with the Las Vegas Raiders, a bring it on kind of a thing. Tom, I'm going to ask you, and here we go. It's year 10 of me asking, what does the future hold for Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know, man. Someone's going to give him a shot, but they're going to regret it. Is the only
Pittsburgh
thing.
Steelers. That sounds like a Steeler move.
There's a team out there that needs a quarterback. They're going to say maybe we can rekindle that Aaron Rodgers magic in his 65th year. I don't know how old he is, but I just I don't. I don't think he's got much left in the tank whatsoever.
No, it's odd, man. And it's reportedly down to two teams. You're looking at the Giants, you're looking at the Steelers, and I would be remiss if we didn't bring up Russell Wilson. Tom, what's the future hold for Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited? And yes, Broncos country, you are well within your right to make fun of the 12th man, to make fun of Seahawks fan, because we had to endure Russ for a little while, and it was bumpy and it was embarrassing. Remember how we were told Geno was so much better and Geno was going to take him to the promised land? Well, that promised land is now in Las Vegas with the Raiders. Enjoy the silver and black. The Titans and the Browns are reportedly interested in Russell Wilson and his services. Last I checked, Kenny Pickett got traded to the Cleveland Browns. I saw some memes before we hopped on the show of Kenny Pickett getting ready to start, and then Russell Wilson kind of comes in. It's really, we're doing this again kind of a thing. Tom, what do you think the future has to hold for Russell Wilson? Where will he be playing next season, if at all?
Yeah, another one that probably is going to get a shot. I think he has more of a shot of playing than Aaron Rodgers, just because he's a little bit younger, and he actually had a pretty, fairly decent season for the most part. Till towards the end of the season, the wheels fell off. But I think he's got a better shot, and I think someone's going to give him a chance too. That there's so many needy, hungry QB needy, hungry teams out there. I mean, you got Kenny Pickett in Cleveland as the starter right now.
That's Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett to you, as our
I think on Wikipedia they show a picture of him, and the caption is the ball through Kenny Pickett or something like that. Remember when he tries to throw the ball and then falls over?
Who was happy that happened, by the way? Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez and the butt fumble couldn't have been more happy that Kenny Pickett couldn't throw a football, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can live down the butt fumble. That's going to live in infamy forever. I mean, if Jim Marshall running the wrong way and scoring basically a safety against his own team is still remembered, I think the butt fumble is going to be remembered for quite a while.
That's a good point. BK on the way out. How could I forget this? I hope Judy gets stuck with Russ again. Absolutely. And Tom, I don't know, man, if you saw her. I don't know if I'm breaking any news here, but social media can be mean. It could hurt your feelings. And I think Jerry Jeudy may have had some hurt feelings because of an interview that he did yesterday or something like that. I don't know, man. But then again, I'm not one to pile on a guy for an impediment, a stutter. I misspeak on this show every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Mountain. But look, a guy's ability to interview and his ability to play on the field are two different things. But for anyone who thought Jerry Jeudy was an outstanding interview, who are you watching? Because in all the years he was here in Denver, he never really presented himself all that well. He never really had a good connection with Broncos country. So yeah, I'm right there with you, BK. Let's hope that Russ can be reunited with Jerry Jeudy and the Cleveland Browns. What a fun hour, man. These shows usually go by pretty fast, but when the Broncos become a proud new owner of a former Pro Bowl tight end who stiff-armed the Chargers, Justin Herbert, John Harbaugh, I'm going to say that all day, every day until we play the Chargers. That's exciting, man, because tight end has been a position of need for a very long time around here. It doesn't mean automatically that Evan Engram is going to come in and take away all the Broncos' woes on offense, and him and Bo are the new Mahomes and Kelsey. But the Broncos, Tom, I've got a feeling they're one step closer than they were yesterday.
Absolutely. And I'll just say this. If the health holds on these three pickups that they went and got, this improves the team. It takes a really good defense and makes them a great defense from my mind. And the offense was adequate. This takes it to the next level. Now, if they find a couple other pieces, the offense is going to be formidable as well. So, I mean, depending on how this draft turns out, the Broncos could be making some serious noise next year. In fact, division title noise is what I'm hoping for.
Ooh, goosebumps. Everyone loves a tease. Talk about a tease on the way out the door of MHI. Guys, he is Thomas Hall at Thomas Hall NFL. I'm Luke Patterson at Luke Patterson LP over on social media. We'd really appreciate it if you followed the mothership at Mile High Huddle. Do not forget at MHI_pod. Encourage everybody, head on over to milehighhuddle.com right now. We have a new story that just dropped trying to answer the question here in Broncos country. What's going to happen with the punter position? Because the Broncos don't have one. That's an issue. Riley Dixon's in Tampa, the guy the Broncos wanted, re-signed with Dallas. They're not interested in the local guy from CSU. They're not interested in two of the other top free agent punters. Who could the Broncos be looking at? Chad Jensen takes you through it. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Zach Kelberman has an article up as well. News of the day. Evan Engram inks a 2-year deal. How much money did he get paid, and was it worth it? We're about to find out. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com and read all about it. Guys, I'll be out next week. Tom's going to have a very special show planned for you guys. I'm a little jealous that I'll be missing it, but got a lot of fun planned for you the rest of this offseason. The draft, we're about a month away, right? We've got all kinds of things cooking up, not only on social media, but over at milehighhuddle.com. Check us out on Instagram, guys. We got to beef up those Instagram numbers as well. Tom, another really fun show.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm just going to announce it now. It's not a big deal. Ken Lanier is going to join the show next Wednesday. So if you don't know who Ken Lanier is, look him up. One of the most underrated players in Broncos history. From my perspective, one of the better offensive tackles. He's going to join the show and not take Luke's place, but we'll do some chatting about the Broncos, get his take on some free agency and whatnot. But yeah, it was a great show. And thanks, Luke. This has been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. It's been a blast, guys. Head on over to mhhmerch.com. Get your swag on. Grab yourself a nice MHI hat for Easter. And, yeah, man, I can't wait to wrap with you guys here in a couple weeks. I hope everyone stays safe. Have fun on spring break. Daylight savings, not a fan. We'll get through it. It's almost Friday. Broncos country. We have the Joker. This is the way.
This is the way.